Sherwin, we just had a statement coming out of the the White House press room where Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had expanded on an earlier claim by Ann Kelly, who's the Deputy Press Secretary there. Now, I want to play the clip and get your take on it. Let's have a listen at what the White House Press Secretary had to say.
States is not participating in official talks at the G20 in South Africa. I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely claiming. The United
That's Caroline Leavitt, the White House Press Secretary there. Quite an impolite way of framing the president's words there, Sherwin, wouldn't you say?
Well, certainly based on the sentiment that the president was expressing in those earlier remarks at the EU joint press conference. I mean, he said they were in discussions, and I think expressed a view that, you know, it was better to be inside of a tent than outside of the tent. I'm not quite sure what in the president's remarks were offensive, but clearly the message has been received in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And Caroline Leavitt was certainly ready to produce their response. So let us not be confused about what the United States posture is going to be moving forward. Yes, we've had some revealing reporting within the last number of hours, but they are clarifying that they will not be engaging in deliberations at the G20, which means they will not be engaging in an outcome document. They are merely there, Oliver, to receive the handover. They are the expected next president of the G20. They will form the center of what is known as the G20 Troika, which South Africa is supposed to be part of as the outgoing president, and of course the incoming presidency of the United Kingdom. But the United States being very clear that they will not be engaging in deliberations around South Africa's theme of equality, solidarity, and sustainability. So let me read you what a U.S. government spokesperson sent us earlier today in response to our reportage. The chargé d'affaires, essentially the person in charge of the U.S. embassy in the absence of a permanent ambassador that is yet to be appointed, the chargé d'affaires in Pretoria will attend the handover ceremony as a formality. But the United States is not joining the G20 discussions. I think that has been made abundantly clear now by the White House press secretary.
I just want to put this to you, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. I just spoke to Professor Chris Isika, an international relations analyst, and he had quite a fascinating view. He says he wouldn't be surprised if by Sunday or Saturday the U.S. would change their mind and virtually participate in plenary, particularly on whether or not to adopt the declaration. The U.S. said it wouldn't support the declaration, and the declaration would pass by unanimous vote, and the only way it wouldn't pass by unanimous vote if there are dissenting votes. Seemingly the U.S. is the only country that had preemptively said that they would dissent on the vote, and they could only dissent or vote against the declaration if they participate in the plenary vote on this. Do you calculate a situation where potentially they might change their mind and we see them participate in the vote, at least virtually?
So, the narrative there is based on how the U.S. position has shifted since South Africa took over the presidency. They have not engaged at the highest levels, the foreign ministers' meetings, the finance ministers' meetings. They've certainly engaged at the Sherpa level. The president of the United States was being convinced by President Ramaphosa in that May Oval Office meeting. He asserted the fact that they wanted the president to come and see South Africa ahead of the G20. I think they were even offering him a state visit. And then, of course, the United States, he eventually said he would be sending J.D. Vance, the vice president, and then by Truth Social post, Fiat, had decided to pull back J.D. Vance's advance to South Africa to represent the United States. So that opinion is valid in the sense that the United States has shifted its position. I think we're very late in the game now. The United States has baked in its repudiation of South Africa's theme. It does not want to engage on on issues of sustainable development. Climate change is a hoax, renewable energies are a scam. So I think it's not news to anyone that the United States does not assert this agenda, does not want to engage in this agenda, and plans very much in its G20 presidency to completely shift the ballgame away from this agenda.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Sherwin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the insights. Really do appreciate it.